Hi everybody, welcome to Ecstasy Crafts and our butterfly dance class. So just in preparation, so you're prepared for everything for the class, you would have received your luxury topper collection as well as your butterfly dance 8x8 paper pad. You're going to need a cutting mat, you're going to need scissors, a scoreboard, and a craft knife. And a nested circle die. Now, if you don't have that handy at the moment, you can always go back, and this is pre-recorded, but you can go back at any point. It's always available to you to stop and rewind and do your prep and revisit any cards that you were unable to keep up with. So first things first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you pull from your packages everything that you require to do the cards today. So you are going to, from your 8x8 paper pad, you are going to look for, these are the ones I've used. So you can change it up if you like. It's totally up to you. But I do recommend you follow along in the video initially until you're comfortable with doing it. You're going to need this paper. You're going to need this paper. There's a couple of butterfly ones. This one has a blue background and the butterflies are smaller. You're going to need this one here with the 4 butterflies in the lower corner. And then any blue background, really. There's a couple of them in there, but this is the one that I use today. That's on the back side. So this is the one I use to create my cards. So you need 4 sheets from your 8x8. And then in your luxury topper set, you are going to need the Sapphire Serenity. So it's got 2 large circles and a variety of the small ones. As well, you're going to use the Glistening Jade page. Your kit comes with 2 of each of these sets, but for today, you're gonna see how many cards we can really make from these packages. They are so amazing in how many you can get out of a package. So those are the 2 topper sets you're going to need. And then within your package as well, you have your beautiful heavyweight printed cardstocks. So you are going to need this one here. Oh, I don't know why it's going out of focus, but this one has 3 sets of butterflies in the upper corner, and this on that side as well. It's a deeper blue. You're also going to need this set here. We have a cluster in the corner with 2 butterflies with 2 different patterns with a nice little border accent on there. I'll revisit these 2. When I get to each card, I'll show you again which one you're going to need. You're going to need this one as well, a little cluster with 2 butterflies in the lower left corner, blue and green, again with a nice pretty little border there, as well as this one here. So we've got another cluster of butterflies in the corner, blue border with a banner border, and then a nice green center, pardon me. Like I said, I will revisit these when we go to do each card, so don't panic trying to pull everything out. I am going to start with, I just have to find my card in here. I've got everything set up, ready to go. So we are going to start with, we don't need any of these papers yet. You're going to start with your Glistening Jade set with the arched and this paper as well. So that's the back side and that's the front side. So if you want to pull those out, you're also going to need a piece of cardstock. And this is the card that we're going to create. So you can see the inside here. I'm going to give you measurements in a moment. And then this card is an easel card. It's hard to see on the camera here, but you can see how it folds up. It's really quick and easy to do. So if you've got a pen and a piece of paper handy, I'm going to give you all the dimensions. So your page is, I'm just looking for something I can use for a poker here, or a pointer here. What can I use? How well can you see that? That's pretty good. Okay, so you're going to cut down the long length of your cardstock, so which is 11 inches. So and then you're cutting it 4 1/4 inches in width. So 4 1/4 this way by the full length of your piece of white cardstock, which is 11 inches. You're also scoring it in half, so at 5 1/2 inches. And then just on 1/2, you're going to score again in half, which is 2 3/4 inches. So I've already scored this. All I have to do now is burst it down. So we're going to fold it in half. And we're going to burst that just like that. So now you have it 4 1/4 inches by 5 1/2 inches. And then you're going to take this top piece and we're going to score it as well at 2 3/4 and then burst that down. So now your card base looks like this, just like that. So again, you need this piece from your 8x8 pad, and you need your glistening jade from your luxury toppers. Now for my sample card, I chose this side here. So what we do is we just carefully pop this out. Just like that. So now you just have a big blank space here. And then this too is in 3 sections. So now we're going to separate those sections so that we have the big, wider outer arch like this. And then there is a very small arch, a thin, narrow one. Now this one we are not using. You can toss it or you could hold on to it, because I don't know, most card makers never throw things like this away. So I'm going to put that off to the side, but these are the 2 pieces that you're going to use for this. I'm going to put that off to the side so you can see it's just the big outer arch, the center arch. Now I chose out of that topper set page, there's a little tiny butterfly up in between the arches. You can pop that out if you want. You don't have to. And then there's little round sentiments as well. I did pull one of those out to use. You can go back later and do that if you want. So now what you're going to need is you're going to need to cut from your 8x8 sheet. So you are going to want to, out of this corner, you're going to cut this piece. And the dimensions for that piece are, hold on, gotta find my measurement, 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. So that's going to give you just a nice little white border around. And you can see I just put it into the corner of the page. So I used the corner, and the reason I did that is because you are going to use these extra pieces over here to cut your other pieces out of. So this 1 8x8 is going to do the inside and the outside as well. So just be thoughtful when you're cutting it, because I know, so you're going to lose that. But I think if I remember right, yep. So if you cut right down there, and once you cut this out, this piece is going to fit perfectly. You don't even have to cut it again. And then from over on this side, you'll cut your second piece, because both of these need to be equal. So again, the dimensions for that, for this one here, this is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And then this one, you need 2. These are 2 5/8 by 4 1/8. And then they're going to fit right on here. So while you go ahead and cut, I am going to start adhering these down. Find my glue. So I'm going to start on the inside. Wait for my glue to get down where I can use it. Oh, there we go. Now, depending on what glue you use, because this paper is a little thinner, if you would rather use your double-sided tape, because maybe you find on thin paper that your glue leaves little ridges, this particular glue that I'm using is really nice for this, and it does not leave ridges. So it depends on what glue you're using, but double-sided tape works as well. Now we've got, so that's our inside piece, just like that. I'll come back after and add that. And then we're going to, I like to flip it open just in case the glue isn't quite dry yet. And just be aware of which side of your paper your glue is going on as opposed to what's showing up. So again, add some glue into this. Just like that. So now you have your backing papers, both inside and out, just like that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to adhere this down. Now, one of the things you want to make sure before you stick this down is that it's not going to stick above your fold in your card. Because if it does, it won't fit in your envelope unless your envelope is really big. And then the other thing that you need to keep in mind as well is that you only want to apply glue to the lower half. You do not want this stuck to the upper half. So a little trick that I will do when I'm doing this, once I have placed it and figured out where I want it, hold it like this in place, and then you can put marks with a pen or something onto the back I moved it a little bit. I'm just looking for something to write with. And then I just will put just a little mark. So when I'm applying my glue, just make sure it doesn't shift like that. And then I know I'm just going to put my glue around this part here. So this is the outer arch, and we're going to glue just the lower half onto the lower half of the card base, because the top needs to be free. Sorry, just like that. So you want it to be free on the top. So when you stand this up, it's free. And you're going to do the exact same thing with your center, except this time we're not gluing, we're going to foam tab because we want this raised up. But again, you want to figure out where it's going to go. And we're going to do the same thing we did with the outer arch. I'm going to fold that back like this. And I'm going to put a little mark. Pencil works best, but can't find my pencil, so I'm using a pen for this video. All right, just like that. And now I'm going to put foam tabs just on the lower part of this. So the top portion remains free to move when you open and close the card. And the reason I mark it is so that you don't get your foam tabs up higher and then they're exposed and you can see them in the back. So again, I'm going to close it so that I can line it up appropriately in here. Just like that. And then we have that ready to go. So now we'll go back. So this is my card I'm working on. This is the finished card. So now I'm going to pull this little butterfly. It's in the top of this right here. And pop that out. Throw a foam tab on that. I'm going to put that right in the bottom corner here. And then the trick with this is what makes your card stand up. The one on the inside. So again, it's on your glistening jade sheet. Again, another foam tab, because you do, whatever one you put on the inside, you do want it raised up so that the top of your card will grab it when you go to stand it up. Where you place it is up to you. It depends on how much you want your card to stand up. You could put it way down here. I did it fairly high so I could continue to see my butterflies, and then I just tucked it in there. Just like that. You can use crystal accents to do some decorating on here. I don't know how well you can see that on the camera. I did the bodies of the butterflies and some of the flowers. It just gives them a little glistening. So there's card number 1. Now we're going to move on to card number 2. And this one here, oh, I'm looking for the finished card. So this one here, you are going to need your cutting mat. You're going to need your craft knife. You are going to need a 5x7 card base, whether it's a pre-done one already or you're going to cut it. If you're cutting it, take a full sheet of cardstock and you are cutting it at 10 inches and then you're flipping it around and cutting it at 7 and scoring it at 5. So that's going to give you a 5x7 card base. I'm just looking for my mock-up here. There it is. And then you are also going to need, just got to find the right paper. You're going to need this piece of heavy cardstock. And you're going to, and that's it actually on this one. There's no other background one. So you're just using this one here. Now, once you cut your card base, what you're going to need to do, and I'm going to show you. So I've already cut this. I'm putting it on here so you can see it. So see how close my edge is to this butterfly here, and see how I took the little, just the edge of that tip on the butterfly off and really close to the edge here. So I'm going to show you now the full sheet of paper because I want you to trim this paper this way, and there's a reason for it. So make sure you do it. It's not precise, but it's pretty darn close. And if you use those for your markers, you'll understand. So there is your full piece of paper. And see how far the butterfly is away from there? And then just a little bit off the end here. I'm going to place my pre-cut one over top so you can see. So you can see I cut it right there and right there. Now, do I have a ruler in here? I do. Just give you a rough idea of what the cut is. I just found it easier to eyeball it. So on the short side, you are going to cut 1/2 inch. So from here into the butterfly, approximately 1/2 inch. And then across the bottom, 1/4 inch, approximately. It's not, I did not measure it when I cut it. When I cut it, I did a visual and I did it that way. But that's what the measurements measure out to. And it's very important that you cut this, trim that first. And then I made this card so there is no white border around it. Okay, it's a little crooked there, so there is a little bit, but we're going to ignore that. If you want a little border, just be aware that you're going to have to do some more manipulating to get this to line up. So I chose to not have a border on this card, so I cut it 5x7 to mount it on the front of my card. So this is 5x7 cut from this paper. So next, what we're going to do is take our craft knife, and what we're going to do, actually, I'll show you on the finished card, sorry, because I don't know how well you can see it on the camera. See how this butterfly has been cut away, And this whole piece here tucks right underneath here. See how you can't see it stops because it goes in behind the butterfly. So what we're going to do is take your craft knife and you're just going to very carefully cut around the butterfly's wings. And don't forget his little tail here, and come down and follow the line, like just the motion of where it's going, and cut it right down to this line right here. So follow the tail of the butterfly and cut it down to the bottom of this little border. I do not cut antennas. I'm not that good. So, but if you are, feel free to cut those antennas and you can have them off. You don't really see them because of the pattern behind it. And then you're going to come across the wing of the butterfly and cut it right out to this tip right here, so that this is going to be free. Now we may have to go back in when we go to put this part on and just tweak it just a little bit just to get it to tuck in better. But if you've cut this correctly, it should slide in just beautifully for you. So we have already trimmed this. I'm just going to trim it down here a little bit more. Bring this down here, and it is cut. And I'm just going to cut it out there a little bit more. And if you're not sure where you've left off, you can always go to the back of your card and you can see where you have cut that out. So I've got this all prepped. Do not glue this onto your card base yet. That is the very last thing we're going to do. We're going to mount all this on it first because we need to make sure that it's fitting in here, and it's going to tuck right behind this and then be all glued on to your card base. The topper set you're using is the other arch from the Glistening Jade set. So we're going to pop that out after you've got your butterfly craft knifed out. And again, we are not using that silver thin arch, the same as before. So now you're going to have two matching arches that you could maybe utilize in another card. And also, I'm fighting with this. I have used this as well. And you can see too where it says carefully handmade by you. There is a banner on here that has that repeated 3 times. I just cut it into 3 sections and put those on the back of my card. But we are going to pull this one out. You can do it. And I'm going to use that on this card as well. So I'm just going to pull this out so I can get rid of that. You can use, see how it pulled a little bit? I'm going to take that out with my craft knife. You can also use, because you'll notice there's little tabs, cardboard tabs where it was held in place in the sheet. You can take a little piece of sandpaper and you can, if you've got a little sanding block, and you can sand those off. I forgot to bring mine in while I'm filming, but normally that's what I would do. So now we're going to pull this apart. So I've got my big arch. I'm going to remove the small silver arch. I'm going to take this right out of the equation because I'm not going to use that today. Put that with the other one. So now we're left with these pieces. Now, when I did this card, the big arch, outer arch, is again going to be fastened down. So it's whether it's glue or double-sided tape, whatever you're using. And then you can see that I have foam tabbed the inner arch, the solid arch, and I foam tabbed this. So let's start with the base that we just used our craft knife on and our outer arch. So this other two arches I'm putting off to the side. And then what we're going to do is we are going to lift up the butterfly. And then what you need to do is fit this in so that it lines up. And see how I'm still out a lot? So what I need to do is just move this out of the way a little bit, and because I need it to slide this way, to come over this way more to get rid of this gap. So I'm going to move it out of the way so I don't cut it. And I'm going to just create, and coming straight out from the butterfly wing, because we need to come horizontally across the card. And I want to just cut a little notch. I don't know if you could see that. I'm going to pull that back out and show you. So I cut straight out from the butterfly this way, just a little bit. And then see how that slid right over? So now it's beyond the butterfly a bit, but I have space. So I can actually line it right up with the edge of the card. But I just needed that little bit. And if you cut too much, you're not going to see it. So now I'm going to fasten this in, but see how it's on the back side, just like that. Can you see that there? See, right there. That's the bottom of that arch. And what you want to make sure is that you've got room to put this up here, if you're choosing to put that on there. So don't slide it too far over, or else this is going to not fit properly. So I had lined it up right with the edge of my card. Let me have a look. And I did not come down and over this. So that sits right on top of, right, follows along the edge of the card and right on top of this little purple banner part on the background. So I'm going to just leave that in place. Put some glue in here. Run some glue up here. Just like that. And now that's in place and your butterfly is free. Now at this point, you can adhere this to your card base now. And then add the extras on there. So as you can see this sticking out of the back. If it's not sticking out of the back piece, you have done something incorrect. So go back and revisit that. If so, I'm just going to put a little bit on there. Oh, but don't glue your butterfly down. Sorry, that was my bad. Do not glue that butterfly down because you want to be able to pop it up a little bit once you get this in place. Now, I know you're probably wondering why there were no instructions with this. I did not do the instructions because I wanted you guys to just see how free you can be with stuff, and you know that there's no right or wrong with these. Now, I know you're seeing the white cardstock behind the butterfly, but remember that this is going to come in here and cover that up. So now I'm going to foam tab that down. I love these hunky-dory strips because they're nice and flexible. You can go around your whole project. Just like that. And then I'll just take a couple of bigger squares and just put in the center for stability. Just like that. How quickly the mess happens when you're working on cards. Now, you just got to lift your wing. And before you push it down, just try and get it in place. And then you can see it's foam tabbed. Your butterfly wing is popped up, and it just gives your card such a beautiful bit of dimension. And foam tab this one as well. And then this one's going to go up in the corner. I'll show you how to use the bow maker and do that. And then I'm going to trim that and put that on the back too. Don't forget to use some of your crystal accents or whatever kind of accents you have, and add some more dimension and shine to a card, because who doesn't like the shine on a card? So all I'm doing is I am just trimming this. Just like that. And I'm going to pop that out. Just a nice little added touch, and you can get 3 of those out of this one sheet. And put that on the back. Oh, my glue is not cooperating today. There we go. Okay. Carefully handmade for you. I love these little things on here. Not all of Hunky-Dories have these, but they always have little banners like that that you can use for various things. I have to excuse my fingernails. I was working with pigment powders this week, and they're a mess. Now, the bow, where'd my bow maker go? So we sell these lovely Hunky-Dory bow makers. And if you struggle to make bows, this is the way to do it. Take a strip of your ribbon. So you want to go wrap it around and go left over right. And I did a double bow on this. So you're going to go left over right again. And you're going to weave that through and around. Hang on, I did too many here. No, that's right. Left over right. Because I do struggle with bows. This ribbon might be just a little bit too short, but that's okay. We're gonna make do. And then once you go left over right, you go under with the left one come over, and then all you're going to do is tie it off. And the bow maker is adjustable. Now this is going to give us a double bow. You can do singles. And then you've got this cute little bow, just like that. And what do I have? You can trim those up. Scissors are not the best. And open my glue up. Put a nice little blob on here, and then I'm going to glue that in place, and then your card is done. Just like that. So there is card number 2. And I think we have time for one more card. And then I will show you the other cards. So what I wanted to show you is how you can use your nice heavy backgrounds as your card base. So if you don't have white cardstock and you need a quick card, you're just going to pull this, in this case, this particular one out, and then I cut it to a 5x7. So I cut across 10 inches and then flipped it and cut 7 because I wanted that in the top corner of my card. Now, not all of the extra papers you can use them this way. So you have to think about your finished card before you do that. So you can see this, I've cut this 10x7. I've already scored it and done that. So that's the one there. And then we're going to go over to the Sapphire Serenity, and I am going to pull this one out exactly the same way as the arched ones. So we're going to pull this out. Now this one we are going to use all 3. So what I did was, I'm going to start with the outer circle, and it's going to be foam tabbed. The inner circle, the next border in, the silver one, will be glued. And then this one will be foam tabbed again. I'll put that up there for picture reference and work with this. My foam tabs. Now, if I wasn't doing this on camera, I would probably not use these thin ones, or I would do 2 rows, one on the inner circle and one on the outer circle. But for time's sake, so I can move forward and show you how some of the other cards I made, see those, I am just going to use these just to keep things moving along. I'm just going to burst this again. There we go. That's better. I'm going to just put this right in here like that. And then I'm gonna glue this one. Drop that down into place, just like that. And then again, I'm going to foam tab this one up. I think I may have double foamed that. I did that one, but I did double foam that one on my original card because it really pops out. You can see, whereas this one does not. I mean, it still pops out, but it's not as much. So if you want to do that, you can. And then this one I pulled, there was a Deepest Sympathy on here. There's also a Feel Better. And I just pop this up in the upper corner. You could add a bow to it. Don't forget your accents. So there's 3 cards so far that we have created. This one showing you how you can use the heavier base cards with the toppers to create one. And you can do one more. So I'm going to show you how I did with the round again. I made this cute little butterfly card like this. And what I did was I used the center from this one. This one you're going to need white cardstock to create the base and your nested circle dies. And what you're going to do is take your full sheet of cardstock. You're going to score it in half. So you're scoring at 5.5 inches. And burst it down, and then take your nested circle dies and match it up to get as close to this or just a little bit smaller, but not bigger. I guess you could do bigger. I'll explain that as we go, but I prefer to do it smaller because then it's hidden behind your finished card. And then I'm going to show you once we get this all out of here. I'm not going to use this silver center. It's gone. We're just using this here and this. And I made this for the Feel Better card. And then we're also using this from this paper from the 8x8 sheet. And then I'm just going to show you how I create. So here's my base. Really easy to do. So when you put your scored, you burst it down, and then you're going to put it through that underneath. And what you do is you just make sure that your die cut, trying to get this so you can see it properly, is not underneath the fold. So you need it above your fold on your cardstock so that when it cuts, it doesn't cut your fold, and then you've got your base card. Using the same die, cut a circle out. All right. And depending, you could do your card this way. I do them this way when I'm doing something like this. If it's not going to sit still for you, what you can do is just take a sliver off the bottom directly opposite of the fold. Just a sliver, just to give it a bit of a flat edge. And then I'm just going to glue this down. And don't worry if it's going to go over that. That's what we want, because it'll hide your fold. So you're just going to glue that down. So that's going to give you your background back in behind here. And then I am going to, I have lost my, oh, it's in the mess somewhere. There they are. I lost my foam tabs, my long ones, because that's what I'm going to do. Again, I'm going to come around. Just like this. And then I'll put this in place. Oh, this one's not peeling. It's not cooperating. There we go. Okay. Always keep track of where your fold is so you know what the top or side, whichever way you decided to go, is on your card. Because with this one, it does have a pattern. I could have done it this way or this way. I am just completely copying the card I did previously. And then I'm going to foam tab the center down as well. Get my butterflies up in the upright position. Center that as best as you can. And then I foam tabbed that up as well. Now, I did use smaller foam tabs on this because it's only going to grab here and here. So when I'm just going to put a little row here and a little row here of my little ones. Again, crystal accents. You can use your little rhinestones or your gems. Whatever extras you have, you can add a bow to it. So far, we have only used, out of this package of Hunky Dory, we have only used 2 topper pages. And in total with the cards that I've made, I've used 4 of the 8x8 papers and 4 of the insert papers as well. So there you go. Another card there, a nice unique shape to go with the rounds, a little unusual and different. What have I got? I still have a few minutes, so let's move on. I'm going to show you the other cards and then I'm going to assemble. So I did a really pretty, where's my stuff? I did a really pretty slimline. So this is using, which one did I use? To refresh my memory here, I used, where did it go? Oh, there it is. I used the Sapphire Serenity page for this one and the nested cutting dies. So you can see that I have used this one here. So I'm going to pull that out. And all you're going to do is whichever ones you pick to use, match your cutting die with it. So there's that one, and I'm going to need this one as well. Actually, and I took this out too. Like that, and then I use this white background just for a change. So for these 3, you need to find in your nested circle dies a size that coordinates with those, because what you're going to do is we're going to die cut the circles out so that they insert in. So for this particular card, you are going to use this sheet of paper here. And oh, how the mess takes over. And you're going to use this butterfly paper and this one and a slimline card base. Now, so I used a Hunky Dory. Hunky Dory makes packages of cards and envelopes, and they're already pre-done and the envelopes fit them. So my sample card, I actually made my own. So you're going to notice that this one's a little smaller because I just took some of the Hunky Dory packages and I've made it. So you're going to see it's narrower than what I normally personally make my cards. I think it's a little bit, it's longer and narrower than what I make mine. But they're really convenient and they're very reasonably priced. So the card base itself is 3 7/8 inches wide and 8 1/4 inches long. Now, what I've done, as you can see in here, I used 2 layers of this, but it only required 1 sheet out of the paper pad. So I laid one. It was cut 3 5/8 by 8 inches. So I always, when I am framing up my cards, I always, when I'm cutting my layers, I cut them 1/4 of an inch smaller than what my first layer. So I'm going to cut it. My base layer is 3 7/8 by 8 1/4. So I'm cutting it 3 5/8 by 8 inches. So that's my first piece, and it's going to get layered on just like that, glued down into place. And then my next layer, I foam tabbed it up. It's the same paper, and it's going to be 1/4 of an inch smaller than this one. So it's now 3 3/8 by 7 5/8. 3 2/8. No, that should not, that should be, sorry guys, that should be 7 6/8. Sorry, that should be a 6, and maybe it is, looks a little messy. So 7 6/8. So that's what this one is, like this. And then this piece is going to get glued onto here. And then you are going to die cut these out again. It's easier to do it if it's glued in place, I found, because then you get it exact. So you're going to glue that. You're going to die cut, put it through your die cut again. You're going to foam tab the back. You're going to lay it in place just like this with the foam tab so it's sticking up. And then what you do is you place your circles and you're going to glue them down. They're not foam tabbed because this part is foam tabbed. They're going to pop right in here. They fit perfectly, just like that. And then foam tab that up, just like that. And then on the extra piece, because I cut this piece from here, and then these two butterflies are fussy cut from here. So they were fussy cut. They got glued on the front of this card, just like that. And that is just such a unique way to use all these extra little rounds. You don't, take it a little bit of extra time and play with it and get really creative. And there's so many fun ways and things you can do. And if you've die cut these out, hang on to them. You can use them for other things. You could even maybe use them to backdrop some of these off some of the other toppers and use them for that and build them up that way. So that was the slimline card. And then there was one more. So that was 3. How many cards have I done? 2, 3, 4. So that's card number 5. And then I did 6 cards with 2 topper sheets, 4 insert sheets, and 4 pieces from the 8x8 pad. That's a lot of cards, and you've got a lot of those sheets in your package. So this one here, so 5x7 base, there's this one I left the border on. This is the 8x8 paper. This is this sheet here, and I just cut that off, so I had it like that. And then these were left over on your glistening jade topper sheet, the 2 here. And I just made my base like you would any card that you're creating with the coordinating papers. I foam tabbed this one up first, and then I double foam tabbed that one, making sure not to put any foam in this area here so that it sits on top of this one. And then you've got more dimension. You're building your dimension up. And then there was Best of Luck on here. I added that with another bow on there. And then you have this gorgeous card and another carefully handmade for. And I think I added this extra little banner on the inside. You don't have to, but you can. And there's still more pieces in those 2 sheets that you can use for other things. So I hope everybody really can move forward and utilize these papers. Check out the website. Hunky Dory has so many coordinating things. There's stamp sets that coordinate with this set. There's acetate. There is all kinds of different paper pads and insert papers if you want to do that lightweight paper for writing on inside the cards. And it has this beautiful faded pattern that coordinates with it. Hope everybody enjoyed this, and I look forward to seeing everyone at our next class. And classes are now up for the next 2 classes on the website. And you can sign up for those now. If you're looking to sign up for the October stamping class, we are going to run a second one. It's not up yet because the first one's full, and it will run on the day after, on the Thursday. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.